guys, welcome back to the channel. We're glad you guys are here. We just finished up engine mounts, all that stuff, engine side and frame side, so we're excited about that. We also cut the hole in the firewall and we took the steering gearbox off. So today we are going to be test fitting the engine back in and out a few times. There's quite a few little spots that we have to check, make sure we have room, make sure everything's working right.
So while the camera was off, we did take care of some monotonous things. There's tons of videos on this kind of stuff, so we just didn't want to bore you. Number 8, and I keep saying number 8, this is actually number 7 injector, had blown out, and it was, the hold down bolt was broke, drilled and tapped into the valve cover, really didn't do a good job. So I pulled the rocker cover off, pulled the injector, pulled the rocker cover off, got that broken bolt out, and then I bought new injectors, which apparently aren't right. So I bought a kit, I put the old injectors back in with new seals and new glow plugs, new return lines, all that stuff. Started working on uncovering the wiring harness. But now we're gonna get this in, and this is one of the last few times that this engine is gonna be pulled back out and see how everything lines up. And if everything goes the way we want it, we're gonna go ahead and put the transmission on and see if we get the transmission mount.
Should be driving by the end of the day.
End of the day, let's go for a drive. For the first time, this Jeep is carrying the full weight of this Duramax. I did have to have this strap on here just because there's no transmission, the engine wants to rock back, but the mounts are done, it is sitting in place. Overall, the height's not bad, it looks pretty good. I do only have about 2 inches clearance between my front differential and the oil pan. I have lift springs to get the front end up on this a little bit, and then we're gonna put some sort of a bump stop in there as well. But that's exciting. This is just awesome that it's carrying the weight of this engine. We are gonna go ahead and put the transmission in, see how close the transmission will line up with the factory Jeep mounts. This transmission I'm using is a GM version, but it's very similar or identical to what Chrysler uses. I'm hoping it's all gonna line up really close, but that'd be fantastic if that all lines up. We started working on the wiring a little bit. This is all the extra wiring that is not necessary for this because it was in the van. I just don't want to go cutting everything quite yet until I have everything figured out. There's no sense in soldering wires back together. Let's just be patient on the cutting. Here's our flywheel. I hope it's the right one. This being 06, it's very hard to find the right parts for it. So it is a dual mass flywheel, because they wanted so much for single mass, and I think the dual mass flywheel is going to actually make this drive a little bit nicer. The magnet. It's a boomerang magnet. Oh my gosh. There it is. That's exciting. These are not the right bolts. These are the automatic bolts. It's what I have for right now. We're just gonna use it to at least get the flywheel on so then we can start it. Got the ring gear on here for the starter. We will get the correct bolts. We're gonna have to pull the transmission back off to put a clutch in there. Just, we wanna get this thing on.
All right, we're underneath the Jeep, seeing if we can fit the transmission in real quick before lunch.
Little NV3500 transmission. This is the factory flywheel. I don't know how it's all gonna work as far as the clutch goes, but the transmission I've already tested, it fits without the flywheel. We're gonna see if it fits with the flywheel, because that thing is just massive. The big thing is get 4 bolts in it and then see where our transmission cross member lines up. Figure out how all that's gonna work. I do know I test fitted it one time. The shifter ends up about right here. So still not bad considering I was afraid it was gonna be like up here. That's one of the things we're gonna find out really quick. We did not do this. Somebody before us did it. I think my Jeep had a clutch at one point, and clearly they didn't want to take the time to take the shifter off the top of the transmission, and they just cut this and rolled it back. And I never understood why my drinks were always hot in the cup holder. This explains it right here. So before we put the transmission in for the final time, we're gonna roll this down, we're gonna weld that back in, because we're probably gonna end up coming out here just a little ways anyway. but we're gonna fix that because that's just not right. We got the transmission bolted up pretty close. It works out pretty good. I think it actually lifted the back up a little more than we had been planning on. Come take a look at this. We have about a ½ an inch between our oil pan and our front differential. Now we do have lift springs we're going to put on this to get it back up higher, and we'll probably do some bump stops of some sort, but all said and done, it's still actually really good. There is plenty of room all around here. For those that say it won't fit, there's actually quite a bit more room than I expected. I can even see daylight between the exhaust manifold and the frame. That's pretty cool. Time for lunch. I spent a little bit of time on the wiring harness, getting the transmission control module, the ABS, getting all that garbage out of the wiring harness. It looks like a mess. It's really not too bad. The battery cables are run temporarily up the side. The battery tray for the Jeep is up in this passenger side corner. We would like to keep it there if possible and do a second battery like in the back, but we'll see how that goes. The Jeep ECM comes over here, and there's a tray that holds the ABS module and the ECM, and my hope is we can get this tray in here, we can get this back all supported, but if the diesel ECM will go inside of this big this box right here, it'd be fantastic. It looks like with minimal trimming we should be able to fit it in here. We are not doing power steering pump here. We are actually going to mount the power steering pump right here where the AC compressor was. It's a Jeep, we don't need AC. I would like it, but the whole idea is summer rig. So hopefully this will all work out. We're going to try and see if we can stuff this thing in there and see where it goes. This is factory, guys. Look at that. I can put my hand in between the engine and this ABS and ECM bracket. That's awesome. I still don't know what we're doing about brakes. I was thinking I was going to go Hydro Boost. I don't know.
My guess is we're getting a vacuum pump.
We might be doing a vacuum pump on this one. It would simplify it. I don't like the idea, but that's exciting. I like that. I really like that.
All right, this might be really obvious, but something we do during builds is on our first build, we just threw all the bolts all over the floor. But
we're getting better.
We're getting better. So now we throw them into a bucket or a box. And then when you go back to the box looking for a specific bolt, you won't find it there. So, pro hack, lose your bolts in a box.
This fits really well. We're just going to slightly fudge this bracket, but it fits so well. I'm so excited about that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab this harness right here. Is the Jeep harness. This right here goes to the ECM. We're definitely keeping this. So what we have to figure out is we only need a couple things from this harness, and the reason I saved all this is our temperature sensor here. There's oil pressure sensor there. That's really the majority of it. So we'll end up shortening this way up because we don't need much. We will then need the battery connections right here. This all went across the back of the motor. We'll secure that up on the firewall. We just have to figure out how to condense and integrate and make this really turn out awesome. And slowly it's getting there. I think next we're going to go ahead and test our battery tray to see if that's going to fit. And we'll keep stuffing things in here. This harness here is that hooks up to the ABS wire, and that hooks up to the front clip. And I think it's already partially heat wrapped back here because it was next to the exhaust on the Jeep. So what I'm thinking is, if I can finesse it in here, if we just wrap this some more so it goes all the way along, we would be okay stuffing it down in that little cavity. Or even maybe we secure it up a little ways, but all we have to do is wrap that, and I think we'll be all right.
So we're pretty close to getting this box in here. The biggest thing that we're bumping into is right here.
Yeah, this PCV breather.
Yep. So we might have to trim.
We're gonna notch it just a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to trim the box right here. All right, we'll see if that hole's big enough. If not, we'll cut it bigger. Okay, there's our hole made a little bigger. So let's hope that fits. We're not looking too bad.
Dude, I like that. I am very happy with that. It like it's supposed to be there.
Yep. So that's what we needed the hole cleaned out for, but everything else looks pretty good.
Yes, it's tight, but these are minor modifications to stuff an engine this big in here. So
not only that, the Jeep engine looked tighter.
The Jeep engine, you couldn't work around that either. This really isn't bad. If this was not a full battery tray, we wouldn't have to do that, but it fits around the injectors and the wiring harness. This side here fits. I can put both the plugs for the ECM wiring fit. You got that guy right there. The other one we fit over here. That's awesome. Very excited. The battery tray is in. The TIPM is in. This is basically Chrysler's fuse block here. All of this fits really well. We have good clearance. Now what I've done is I've laid the Chrysler wiring harness all on top of the motor. We have everything hooked up over here like it would be. This is the time where we now have to integrate the two wiring harnesses together, which is just horribly monotonous and boring. I'm going through, I don't need any of our injector or coil wiring. These are the wires I do need. We got oil pressure, we've got oil temperature, and then somewhere over here I have coolant, there you go, coolant temperature right there. So I have to strip this harness because that's all we need for the Chrysler side. I am using the Chrysler alternator wire, but we're just stripping this out. It's gonna take a lot of time and be really boring. We'll catch you up when we have something new and exciting. Well, that turned out awesome. That's super exciting. We got the Jeep wire harness stripped down to just a few wires. We've got our few sensors here. We're working on the diesel harness. It's a little on the long side, and I still need to figure out a few more things, but we're getting there. That is turning out so clean. I'm so happy with the way this is turning out. Power steering pump's gonna go right here where the AC was. We're probably gonna have to do a vacuum pump. I'm not real thrilled about it, but we may figure out something later. But the fact that all of this still fits in here is just awesome. It looks so factory. It's really coming together. AJ's sitting here laughing at me, so we need to get going. Things have been a little slow. If you noticed, the first video was super exciting. We got to put this engine in the Jeep. Second video, yeah, we're into that stage of the monotonous stuff that has to get done. It's slow. It's hard to get good video of it. It's not super exciting, but it's all part of the build. We are going to wait on the wiring side. I sent my ECM out to have some programming done to it. We're going to kind of leave the wiring alone. I'm excited to start it, but we're going to leave that alone. What we're going to move to is we have a lot of clearance issues down here around our axle and our oil pan, our track bar. I picked up some 4.5-inch lift springs for this. Nice clean springs, barely have any time on them. And this should get us up where I think we want it. Keyword there, think. We might as well shift gears to suspension. But we just wanted to tell you that it is monotonous, it's kind of boring, not super exciting, but the exciting part is when it's done and we can go drive it. So don't poop out on us yet. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna jack up the front of the Jeep, we're gonna put jack stands under the frame, we're gonna take the tires off, and we're gonna let the axle fully extend so we can hopefully get these monsters in place of those itty bitty little whippy springs. I put brand new brake hoses on like 2 weeks before I took this off the road that are longer. They're supposed to be for a 2-inch lift. They're most likely gonna be too short now, and we're probably gonna have to take them off. Let's get this thing jacked.
Okay, so really quick, just so you guys know, there's a bracket right here off the shock I just removed. We got our brake line right here. We took that bracket off. We're gonna have to replace these shocks anyways at some point. Next, we're gonna lower the axle and see if we can get the springs out. So the thought is we'll leave these 3-inch spacers in and we'll see how far it lifts it up. If it's too much, we'll yank them out.
Look at how whippy those are. Only a mild improvement. This way. There we go. So close. Get my hand in there. Let's see if we can get the other side in. That's going to be more of a challenge. Okay, well that was the easy part.
Good thing you got 8 layers of padding.
Yeah, right. That worked. All right, we got both springs installed. We're gonna jack it back up and see what it looks like.
So really what we're looking for is the difference, or the space in between the differential and the oil pan. And we did gain quite a bit of space, not as much as I was expecting.
Well, that didn't get us quite as high as I was thinking. We definitely have room, but this might be a little lunch going down the road. We went from a 1/4 inch to about 3 inches between our oil pan and our front differential. We got interference right here. It looks way better. To be safe, we still need to go a little higher. I really don't want to smash this oil pan. And she's a little splashy. So obviously with shocks it'll be okay, but we're gonna go ahead and put those 3-inch spacers, which I put somewhere back in, and see where that puts us. I mean, theoretically 3 inches higher. I didn't really want to go quite that high, but I think it'll be okay. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna throw springs in the back that I bought and see where that puts us. Again, if we're going higher in the front, we're gonna have to go higher in the back. But let's throw those in, see what the overall stance is, and then I want to try this track bar. If all we have to do is get a bracket to move our track bar forward a couple inches, we'll be okay. It will clear our oil pan. I don't know if we can get away with a bend whatsoever, but that's something else to figure out. Apparently both of those springs we took out were broke. Not to mention the springs I put in were designed to give me a 3-inch lift, and we kept the 3-inch blocks that are in there. It sits way higher. We're gonna need an adjustable track bar, longer shocks, longer sway bar lengths. The body seems to want to sit funny, but everything is so cockeyed right now it's kind of hard to say. It looks better. We're gonna put the wheels on, set it back on the ground, and see what it looks like.
I don't know if you can tell on camera, the passenger side is definitely lower than the driver's side. So we're gonna have to figure that out. For now, probably leave it until we can get the new springs or something.
It's sitting level front to back, not sitting level side to side. We're trying to warm up. We just ate lunch, having a hard time moving.
It's actually Tim's excuse because he doesn't know what to work on.
That's actually it. So here's where we're at. We've got the bigger springs in the front. We need to get it up higher. I need my spring compressor to get the 3-inch spacer back on top of those springs and see if it gets our height where we want it. The rear springs are in. It sits a little unlevel for some reason, not really sure why. But now we need to get the front end where it needs to be so we can get the back end to match. The track bar is really close. I have an adjustable track bar in it. I think what we're gonna do is when we get the height where we want, we're gonna basically rebend our track bar to go around the front of the oil pan. Should work really well. Waiting for the ECM. Hopefully next week it'll be here. That would be fantastic, and then we can get back to wiring. The transmission is bolted up. It's we're not sure about it. We need a spacer because the clutch is actually hitting the transmission or the bell housing. What I think we're gonna work on is we're gonna put the front end back on. We're gonna have the radiator set in. I really, really, really want a mechanical fan. It's gonna cool a lot better. We just gotta see if we can do it because the fan that came off the van has a really deep fan clutch on it and it's hitting the radiator. So I want to go to an LBZ fan. It's got a different style clutch on it. See if we can make that fit a little bit better. The plumbing, we got lots of plumbing to do. This is the hard part. It's hard to stay motivated. We just want to go drive it.
Well, motivated, but also we've got about 5 things that they each need the other thing to figure out where they go and what they do. So this is the boring part, and we'll get it.
But the exciting part is soon to come.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I guess we'll reassemble the front end and see how everything measures up. Radiator looks good in there. We don't have it fully sitting in there yet, but we'll use this to start checking fan placement and all that stuff.
The thing is, it is possible. So what we've done is we got our radiator in, and I wanted to see if the electric fan from the 3.6 will fit. These front ends are in such a way to where I can actually space this out if I needed to. There's a spot down there I can put a 2-bolt flange in to space it. We can move this out, we can drill it, tap it. So what I was trying to do is get the fan in and then see if we did the spacer, would it work theoretically how I'm thinking. I don't know that we're going to be able to make the mechanical fan work as much as I want to, and with this bigger radiator, the electric fan may be able to move enough air. The other thing we're trying to figure out is, can I put the factory reservoir right here, the overflow reservoir, I don't know where I put it, you know, make all that work. And so far, it's actually looking pretty good. So the coolant reservoir locks in, there's 2 tabs right here, it locks into this fan shroud, which is part of the reason I started looking at doing this. We are mounting the power steering pump up on top where the AC compressor was, because it will not fit down here. And what I'm thinking is, if we cut the side of this bracket off, this reservoir may actually fit right here, and then it's just coming together even better than before. I really wanted a mechanical fan. The electric fan might not be bad. And all that being said, I don't even know that we need to have this front end pushed out. It's all back up in place. Fan hub is just touching this electric fan. So if I took and I just cut the end of that fan hub off, we could theoretically just run the belt. Is this gonna clear right here? This front corner wasn't completely snapped in, so it's looking kind of funny. I snapped that in. Right now, this front end is pushed all the way in, and if we wanted to keep this electric fan, all I've got to do is this threaded part here, I can cut that off if we're not going to run a mechanical fan, and then we've got 3/4 of an inch right there, and it's barely touching it. Like, actually right now it's not even touching. The power steering pump is going to go somewhere right here, but if we decide to run this electric fan, we can position this in another way, or we can slightly notch that. If I cut part of this bracket off, because this is not being used, we're mounting our power steering pump here. If I cut part of this bracket off, this reservoir will fit right down where it would have from the factory. As much as I want a mechanical fan, I'm kind of liking the way that looks. This just looks even more factory. Aside from the wad of wires right there, this actually looks really good. This is the van lower radiator hose, and what I did is I cut off the quick connect that would have normally gone onto the Duramax radiator, and it looks a little tight. Well, it doesn't look a little tight, it is a little tight, but hold on a second here.
Tim can't talk when he's excited when things
No, I
work.
can't do 2 things at once. That is actually not terrible. Obviously, we can't have it rubbing on a tensioner, but take a look at that from underneath. So you saw the lower radiator hose. Actually very surprised how well that van Duramax radiator hose worked. A little fine tuning, and these are so hard and stiff, new ones will be better. But the bottom one fits pretty good, got to tweak it. This is the upper hose off of the van, off the Duramax. I cut off, I don't know, 2 inches right here. We clear the fan shroud. And what I'm thinking we'll do is, this is definitely a little big for this right here. I think this is probably like 1.5 inches, and this is 2 or something like that. If we get the Jeep upper radiator hose that's smaller, and I get a metal reducer for like an exhaust pipe, we can basically put one inside the other, make a really smooth transition. But the fact that we're not rubbing on the fan shroud is really cool. This, if I were to cut it and put a coupling in the middle, is perfect. It's just way too big. Down there, we'll be able to crush that down to the proper size pretty easily. Overall, this is feeling good, especially because today's been one of those days where it's just been hard to feel like we've made any progress. So this is exciting, because I really thought we were going to have an issue with this. We still have to figure out our power steering pump. If I find a pickup power steering pump instead of the van, I think we'll be okay. Very exciting. We want to see if we can get this overflow bottle in the factory place. It notches into the fan shroud right here and right here. Since we put the fan shroud in, we're gonna look at cutting part of this bracket off. This is what would have been AC, now gonna be power steering, and power steering would have bolted down here. Even in the trucks, this part right here is not used. So we're gonna start by kind of cutting it out of the way and see if we can make room for this to fit. Worst come worst, these brackets are dime a dozen. I actually have another one around here somewhere. Let's start cutting. We got most of that bracket cut out. I actually cut out more than I think I needed, but that's fine, we'll clean it up. What we're gonna do is, this is the overflow bottle, and I cut off the draw straw on the bottom. I'll deal with that later, I'm not worried, but this, we've marked in black, is the only spot that's interfering with our water pump. And I've seen it, we've not done it, so we're gonna try this, but if we warm this up, can we kind of massage this part back into the tank? I don't care what it holds. If it holds something, we're good. And then this is so thick, I'll either drill and tap it or we'll do something. But we want to see if we can mold this in. If not, we try. Alright, so here's what we did. It looks really bad. This used to come down, and then there's your suction side. We just heated it up and I kneaded it in with my fist. It's really ugly, and then this pipe used to come up the side. I'll figure that out later. But look at this. We lock it in there, push it all the way in. It's not even touching. Like, that is fantastic. It's so cool.
The little things.
The little things. But look, it's just that much more factory. And we'll clean this bracket up a little bit. I hacked it up pretty good. We'll round it and smooth it and make it look like it was all corroded in that way from the factory. The one thing that we are going to have to change, though, is our radiator hose is going to go right here. But I like how factory this is looking. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. If you haven't caught the previous episodes on this, you got to go check them out. We'll catch you next time.